Was General Motors CEO Mary Barra warned of a problem with vehicles more than 2 years before her company decided to recall them.
Now to newly released emails, they are shedding light on what the company's new chief knew and when. 7 investigator Ross Jones has been digging through those emails this afternoon. Ross, what do they say?
Well, Jeff, the emails are far from a smoking gun, but they show that Mary Barra had reason to believe that vehicles like the Saturn Ion presented a danger the company would only acknowledge years later.
Beginning in 2004.
Under oath last week, GM CEO Mary Barra said she didn't learn about the company's deadly defect until last December, a problem with vehicle ignitions that caused the engine to turn off and disabled power steering and airbags. Lawmakers seem skeptical, since Barra was one of the company's most powerful figures for years.
You knew nothing about this when you were executive director of manufacturing and engineering? Correct. You knew nothing.
But years earlier, she was notified about a sudden loss of power steering in the Saturn Ion, one of the vehicles that would eventually be recalled over the ignition defect. In October 2011, while Barra was head of product development for GM, she received an email from the company's global quality chief. He was forwarding a New York Times story about a problem with the Ion, a sudden loss of electric power steering that could cause crashes. The email told Barra that the situation has been evolving and officials will meet and understand the latest data. The email mentioned almost 3,500 customer complaints and 2 injuries caused by the steering problem. But the email does not mention specifically any problems with ignitions, the root cause of the defect that led to the recall of 2.6 million vehicles. The emails released today also showed that government regulators investigating General Motors were frustrated by the company, calling them slow to communicate, slow to act, and that dealing with GM sometimes requires additional effort that we do not feel is necessary with some of your peers. Even under oath last week, Barra conceded that GM didn't always share vital information and that some valued cost over safety. So how did Barra react to that warning in 2011? It is impossible to tell from the emails, even impossible to tell if she read it. But just a few minutes ago, GM tweeted that the email revealed today is completely separate from the ignition problem, and it does not contradict her testimony from last week. We'll have more on what's inside these newly unsealed records ahead at 6. I'm Ross Jones, 7 Action News.
Okay.